I'll do the intro.
Topic?
Chris back and he brought us the top 5.
Growing up on the water with fishing in their blood, Matt Arey and Bryan Thrift have spent the last 10 years competing against the biggest names in professional bass fishing. Their success has landed them ranked among the top anglers in the world. If you're looking to become a better angler, then this show has all the answers. Join us and follow along to get actionable tips, tactics, and tried and true techniques directly from the pros. Welcome to Let's Talk Fish.
Housekeeping out of the way.
All right, we are live.
Here we go. And we have a topic of the show tonight is Smoke is back with a top 5.
With the top 5, finally.
Top 5.
Yes.
Congratulations, Smoke.
I've actually got 2 top 10s on Champlain back-to-back this year.
Pretty strong.
I'm very happy with that.
That lake is, I thought you were going to win that one, by the way. I'm a little disappointed.
I was kind of surprised they let me lead it for 2 days because I wasn't knowing that much.
Well, you were on 20 pounds the first day?
Yeah.
19 the second? Or 18?
19 and a half.
19 and a half, excuse me. You're like my daughter when I ask her how old she is, 8 3/4.
I mean, 8 ounces is a lot.
Yeah. How old are you, 8? No, I'm not 8, I'm 8 and a half. Get it right. 19 and a half, and then you didn't have a terrible third day. You caught, what, 16, 17 pounds?
17.
17 pounds. I mean, that's
Yeah.
not a bad day on Champlain. Usually you catch that 2 days in a row, you get a big check.
Used to. I don't think it's like that anymore.
Yeah, 34 pounds still gets. Usually it gets inside the top 50%.
What's weird
but
was
not much further than
7
that.
or 8 years ago, 17 a day got you in the top 10.
Correct.
So that's a testament to
So with that
the
statement,
fish getting bigger on Champlain.
with that statement, what do you think? What do you think the reason is behind that? Let's hear the thrift theory on it.
I don't know that I have a theory. I really
You have
don't.
a theory for everything.
I know, but I don't really have a theory for that because it seems like the smallmouth have gotten bigger, but the largemouth haven't, if that makes any sense. Like Champlain's always had good largemouth, like a lot of 3.5 to 4.5, 5 pound largemouth occasionally, but the smallmouth have usually tend to run a little smaller, and now it's quite common to have 20, 21 pounds of smallmouth.
It's
I
like
mean,
there's
it's not
more-
common, but
More 4-pounders though. It's like
right,
there's more 4-pounders.
right. It's like all the smallmouth gained 3/4 of a pound, and the largemouth kind of stayed the same.
Yeah. So I wonder if that's because smallmouth are just naturally more aggressive, and maybe they feed longer throughout the year. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
I don't know. I think it's got more to do with
Their forage.
not even that. I know. Just
So you do have a theory.
I've got like a couple different theories, but that's all it is a theory. Like I know the last year or so it hasn't gotten quite as cold up there and the lake hasn't froze over. I don't know if that's got something to do with it, or if lower water levels are just more conducive to the smallmouth feeding more than the largemouth, so they get bigger. I don't know what the deal is, but
yeah.
smallmouth's definitely getting bigger, and that's not a bad thing. Not,
Yeah, and
not a
it's-
bad thing.
It's been consistent. Like
Yes.
it's not like it cycled like a typical lake.
Right, yeah.
It's been
just
consistently.
a consistent,
improving.
slow, steady improvement.
Yeah, because we went there post spawn, and everybody's like, "I smallmouth." We always say this every year: smallmouth won't play right after spawn because they're so much skinnier.
Right.
But if a 5-pounder is skinny, he still weighs 4.5.
Yeah,
or
4.25.
You
Right.
know, the thing about it is, I was surprised with how many skinny 4-pounders
yeah.
there were.
And I actually think in that Toyota series, the first day, I found a little area with some kind of scattered gravelly rocks and stuff, and I had a couple bites in practice the first day I practiced, and I could kind of tell nobody had fished it before because it kind of, like I got bit way too easy and way too quick when I found it. So
It's usually a telltale sign.
right. So when I went in there the first day of the tournament, I caught 20 pounds really quickly, like in 30 minutes.
Was that largemouth or smallmouth?
No, that was smallmouth.
Smallmouth. Okay.
And over the course of the next 2 days, I fished that spot both days and never got a bite. And I swear I think those fish were on the bed. I think it was a late round of spawners that obviously I couldn't see because they were in like 17 foot of water. But I think it was just I lucked on a little group of late spawners and caught 5 big ones that first day to have a 20-pound bag.
Very possible. Anything's possible in our sport. Like I used to write stuff off in my head. Now I don't write anything off.
No, you can't throw anything out anymore.
All right, so we're going to get into Thrift's top 5 at Champlain and talk about that a little bit. If you got questions for Thrift, shoot them in. I'll be following the feed here throughout the evening. But a couple things. First of all, y'all know our podcast is presented by Angler's Choice Marine, our title sponsor, our presenting sponsor, and also associate sponsor with Pulse Fish Lures. Couple things about Angler's Choice, and I talked about this when you were gone up north, is one thing about Angler's Choice is they're an elite level dealer. They have inventory now. They have more inventory coming in as we speak. 2022 models. A lot of the issues right now in our industry is people not being able to get boats. Angler's Choice has the boats. They have more coming in. But I said this on the last show, and I'll say it again. Trent, the GM of Angler's Choice in Martinsville, Virginia, told me, he said, look, if people are interested in a boat, they need to call ahead because these boats are coming off the trucks.
And sold.
And they're sold. They're sold. I mean, a lot of them are sold before they come off the truck. But a lot of these boats are not making it to the website. And a lot of people want to wait until it gets to the website and they want to look at it in details. They can give you all the details. They can give you pictures. They can give you color combinations, everything. So be sure to reach out to them if you're in the market for a boat because, the few boats that are out there and the few boats that they are getting in are being sold very quick.
Yes.
Very quick.
And if you're looking for a semi-famous boat, I think at the Spindale location they have Hank Parker's boat from this year there
Is that
for sale.
for sale there?
Yep.
Ah, a semi-famous boat.
Semi-famous. I mean,
So Hank Parker's Ranger is at the Spindale
yeah.
location.
It's pretty too.
Up for sale.
If you want to see a picture of it, you can go to my Instagram page. I took a picture of it when I was up at Spindale a couple weeks ago, and you can see the colors and all on it. It is a very pretty boat.
I gotta say, because it's like the last 10 boats Hank's had, and this is just for me watching some of his shows.
Yeah.
It's white, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's
Okay,
white.
it's 100%
It's white.
All right, I haven't seen it. I'm just throwing that out there. It had to be white, with either red or blue.
Blue.
on the side.
White and blue.
There you go. Always red, white, and blue. Very patriotic Ranger. But yeah, so that's available apparently at Spindale. I didn't even know about that, so thanks for letting us know. Little housekeeping real quick. One thing I talked about on the last show was the Fishing's Legends Live benefit tournament coming up soon. Fishing Legends Live is a local podcast with Mike Seawright and Scott Hamrick, some good friends of ours. They do a great job. They're usually live on Wednesday nights. And this benefit tournament is this Saturday. We talked about it a week or two ago, but it's this Saturday at Lake Norman. That's August 21st. Queen's Landing.
I think it's like a $5,000.
I got it all right here. I'm glad you said
Okay,
that.
Matt's got it all.
$5,000 first place guaranteed. You can enter at the ramp or online.
Are you fishing it?
I'm not fishing. I'll be in Blowing Rock with my parents. So we're going to visit my parents up there. But I will not be there. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it. But the benefit tournament's for Robert Fowler, a local angler who's battling some serious health issues, and all the proceeds are going to his family to help out with that. But a great tournament, $5,000 first place guaranteed, run by a great group of people. And here's something cool. I don't know if you knew about this, but $5,000 first place guaranteed, $1,000 for the top high school team,
Oh, that's
$600 for the second place high school team, and $400 for the third highest high school team,
That is awesome.
along with $100 for the top adult child team. And the child has to be under 16.
Right.
So very cool. You can enter at their website. Their website, I've got it here. It's FLLlures.com, which stands for Fishing Legends Live Lures.com, and or you can enter at the ramp. So either way, you can jump in that tournament for a good cause. Another thing I wanted to talk about real quick is we lost a friend of all of ours sitting at this table, and if anybody's familiar with the MotorMate products, the MotorMate kind of changed the industry a little bit when it came out.
Yeah, when it came to like how you trailer your boat with your motor stored, I mean, it definitely very innovative, cool product. I know Matt and myself both still run them. And
Yep, super innovative product, and made a big impact on the industry for quite a few years. And I believe that company is now owned by EPCO Industries, I think is the name of the company that owns them. But Clifton Bradley, who's a good friend of ours, passed away today, and he was kind of the brains behind the original MotorMate deal.
Yep.
Him and a guy named Claude, I believe, actually invented the product.
Right.
Came up with the product, and we're able to do huge things with that product. But please, everybody, say a quick prayer for Clifton and his family. Obviously, that's a very tough loss, and I hated to hear that. I just heard that earlier today. So y'all keep that family in your prayers, please. All right, so moving on. Oh, trivia question at the end of the night, as usual. is sponsored
Don't
by.
tell him, Matt.
I'm
Don't
not
tell
telling
him.
I'm not telling him.
He's trying. He's trying.
Sponsored by English Choice Marine. We'll be giving away a high performance shirt and a hat, compliments of English Choice, and we will get to that at the end of the show. That's all I'm saying. I'm done. I'm stopping. So let's talk about Champlain.
All right,
And
Champlain.
any questions, y'all shoot them in for Thrift, and I'll be watching the feed.
I guess you've already talked about your Champlain event.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey man, I've been doing shows.
I haven't been here. I haven't been here. Actually, I've been here a lot, but Matt was gone the first time, and Jeff won't want to do a show with me for some reason.
Wait a minute.
So-
Hold on. Is that true, Jeff?
I mean, that's
Or you
the
not
way I
listening?
see it.
We've done it a couple times.
I know of one. that
Jeff
y'all
don't want. I'm gonna tell you how Jeff does me. So about
What?
about 3 months ago, I called Jeff up chit chat,
Day.
and Jeff says, "Hey, you want to go grab some lunch?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be good." So I'm waiting on him to call. He never calls. The next day, I called Jeff. I thought we was gonna go eat lunch. Oh man, I didn't mean that day. I just meant sometime. I'm like, what is that? Who asked somebody to go eat lunch?
I didn't say, hey, do you want to go eat lunch? I said, hey, we need to get there and eat lunch. You're like, all right.
Whatever.
I didn't
So
mean that day.
that's the way he does me with the shows when Matt's gone as well. He's like, "Hey, you want to do a show?" And he's like, "Well, I didn't mean tonight. I mean, maybe when Matt comes
meant
back,
when
we'll
Matt
do
get
one."
back.
Yeah, I meant when Matt gets back, we'll do a show.
It's false information.
I don't even. I was not a part of that conversation at all. But
I wasn't either.
I'm going to throw this out there and say I actually believe Thrift.
Exactly.
I actually
exactly.
believe
Who
that.
wouldn't? Who wouldn't?
So you want to go to lunch? Yeah. Where you want to meet? Oh, I didn't mean today.
Yeah.
Like next week or something. So anyway, yeah. All right. The goal is 2021.
We'll go to lunch tomorrow. I'll take you to lunch tomorrow.
2021 fall goals. I'm going to be gone. I got to go do a little deal September. I know it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so I'm going to be gone on that. You might not be here, but it's like September 26th or 21st or something like that. And
I think
if you and Jeff are here, y'all can vow right now to
What's
do a
the
show
date?
that week.
we'll.
Hold on, I'll
That's
tell
way
you
too.
exactly.
That's way too far out. Me and Jeff don't work that good on a schedule.
I think it's the 28th.
It's got to be
I think
spur of the moment.
it's the 28th of September.
Dude, I don't even know where I'll be then.
Yeah.
Well, y'all obviously need
I
to
don't
plan
know
Like
where
a
I'll
ahead.
10-day window.
Yeah.
Well, you obviously need to plan ahead.
Maybe even 7. Maybe even 7-day window.
Thrift's more of a spur of the moment guy, according to the last conversation y'all had. So anyway, I'm just
All
trying,
right.
I'm just trying.
Let's
to
get
help
to
out.
the Champlain stuff.
Well, I'm trying to get back to my feed now, and I lost my feed because I was looking
All
at
right.
the date
Well,
for Jeff.
yeah. So Ryan asks. So the obvious question after fishing a northern swing with spotlock, do you regret not doing so earlier? Well, since putting the Ultrex on my boat, I've got 2 top 10 finishes. So I wanted it the whole time. Let me go ahead and clarify this. So ever since the Ultrex came out, like the first little bit, I was a little leery because I'm never one to jump on a bandwagon. But after the first year,
Bandwagon.
yeah, after the first year, I knew I wanted to get an Ultrex, but it got to the point where so many people asked me when I was going to get it. I was like, I got to see how long I can ride this out. And after about 2 years, it got to the point where I personally want to be the last man standing with a Fortrex. Like, I want to be the last
Always competing.
professional angler with a Fortrex on their boat. So when we went to the St. Lawrence River for our BPT
He
event,
checked everybody's boat.
John Cox
That'll be in his
put an
stats
Ultrex
when he
on.
retires.
It was me and John were the last 2 battling out to see who was going to get the Ultrex first. John put the Ultrex on at the St. Lawrence River, and I was like, okay, I win. I'm the last man with a Fortrex. It's time to put Ultrex on the boat. So I put one on the next week. But no, I don't regret not doing it earlier because I absolutely love the Minn Kota Fortrex. It's a great motor, strong motor. It's bulletproof. Like, I don't think you can tear it up. And the Ultrex, from what I've saw so far, is pretty much the same way. You've just got spot lock capabilities and a lot of other extra things you can do. So I'm very happy with my switch to the Ultrex.
Did everybody? Oh, that is recorded. We have that recorded. So cool. Tanner Green, a couple people said they've recently, Roger Whitesides, they've purchased boats and had great experiences with English Choice. We like to see that feedback, y'all,
Yeah.
because we stand behind them 100%. We've been with them for years. We've worked with them for years. They're good people, and they're they're great after the sale too. They'll get you in exactly what you, not necessarily what they want you to have, but what you want to have and what you need and what's going to fit you best for what you're wanting to do, whether it's a pontoon or whether it's a fishing ski or whether it's just a fishing boat. But yeah, they're really great after the sale. They take good care of their customers. But I'm glad to see everybody. A lot of positive feedback on our feed tonight about Angler's Choice and their customer service too. They are really good people. I know they're a sponsor of the show, and that sounds cliche, but Thrift and I would not do business there if they weren't. I can promise you that. Thrift's way pickier than I am too. So if he's going there for service and business, then it's good. It's good. All right. Derek Westfall said your beard's on point tonight, Jeff.
Mine is? Thank
He
you.
definitely has a little bit. It's shining a little bit more this week or something.
Is it? I really
New
appreciate that.
conditioner or something
I don't think
you're
so.
using?
I don't know.
What do you wash your beard with? Like regular shampoo?
Soap?
Okay.
don't
I'm just
know.
wondering.
Can't remember. Lever 2000 to be exact.
Leave like a bar of soap? You rub
Yeah.
a bar of soap in your
Where are
beard?
we
No,
at,
you
fellas?
put it on your
How did we
hands.
get on? I don't know how we got
Well, there
on
was a
this.
comment about how nice his beard looked tonight. I was just wondering how he got it to look so nice.
I got taken when I can get them, bro.
Got some.
Here's a quick,
Never mind.
Craig. I do have the Mega Live. I got it last week before we did the BPT at Champlain, and I like it. It works great with 360 with the Mega 360. Doesn't give you a whole lot of interference. You can see good, and I actually caught one the first day of the tournament off the live that I saw, and I was proud of myself for that because I know a lot of people have been doing that for a couple years with the other sonars out there, but this is my first experience
You could say their
with
names.
the live. So, yeah, I caught one on it, and I was good with it.
The other sonars.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's I think everybody's got one, don't they?
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
Thrift, how did practice go? This is from Jared Kemper. How did practice go compared to the tournament, species, etc.? I can already tell you the answer to that. He never
For
got
which
a bite.
tournament?
He never found anything.
for the Bass Pro Tour, practice went, I'm going to say it was decent. Like, I had an idea what I wanted to do. I never practiced on anything I knew I was going to fish in the event because I already knew what I wanted to do, where I wanted to start, how I wanted to approach it. So I didn't touch anything that I fished the first 2 days. And I ended up finding some stuff. I caught a few key fish on throughout the event, but pretty much everything I caught at Champlain in the Bass Pro Tour was off stuff that I never even practiced on, just stuff that I know that's historically good. And I just chose not to fool with it in practice and just run it in a tournament and see what happens.
Pretty good.
And it worked out pretty good.
Mark Lindsay, you're quite welcome for those goodies. So, well, you've already answered the obvious question from Ryan Eiding. I hope I said that name right. Do you highlight your beard? Somebody asked Jeff. Do you highlight it?
I
says y'all.
highlight it with age.
Age. You highlight it with
Okay.
age.
Yeah.
All right. Enough about Jeff's beard. Josh Ingram said the bag on the table looks like it's breathing.
I think he's talking about the hat bag.
That's our that bag. Oh, these are the hats. If anybody had ordered a hat that was supposed to be signed by Hank Cherry, we just got those back from Hank. Brian and I will sign them, and those will be shipped out here very soon.
Why
As
won't you
quickly
just
as we
sign it now?
acquire a Sharpie.
Well, so here's the thing. We're literally sitting in not only the LTF studio, but the Lunkertext warehouse. And it's like, how big is this place? It's ginormous. And there's not a Sharpie in this entire building,
Not
or in
one.
my truck, or in Thrift Suburban that
No.
he drove over here. So that being said, they won't be signed until next week. So give us another week on the hats. But we'll get them out to you ASAP. And we have some more hats on order, don't we?
One job.
Don't we have?
Yeah, I have some, but they're not Richardson because that's pretty much impossible to get right now.
Okay. All right. All right. Here's a good question, Thrift. The
What?
Chris Lindahl. He said, "Oh yeah, the Thrift only shows were great, but a little dead air every once in a while."
You'll have that.
Matt is Johnny Carson. I like that compliment. I appreciate that compliment, Chris. And Thrift is whoever his sidekick was on the show.
Hey, I'm good with that.
Who was Johnny Carson's sidekick, Jeff? You're the only one in here old enough to know that, probably. I'm just
I'm about to mute for a second.
my microphone or your microphone?
All of them.
All of them. All right, Ryan had another question. He said, I've seen a recent article on using smaller hooks for smallmouth, like size 2 is a primary for drop shot, do you fall on that side or a size 1 to 1/0 for standard drop shotting? I got to where I use a combination of a straight shank and a drop shot, split shot hook, but I use a 1 typically. I don't go to a 1/0 ever. I've used a 2 a handful of times, but I've used a 1 more than any. What?
I always use the biggest hook you can get away with.
Man, I'm going to tell you right now, I have to totally disagree with you. And I'm going to tell you, 2 of the best smallmouth fishermen in this country, actually, they're not in this country, they're in Canada, will argue with you till you die about and here's why. Let me give you my theory and my experience.
I'm talking about drop shot.
I'm talking about drop shotting now. And the reason...
Well, anything. I'll put the biggest hook I can use.
No,
on
I'm
anything.
not. This is only with drop shotting for smallmouth. So let's clarify that. This is not... I'm not
All right.
against using big hooks for other stuff. So the reason is because every time you hook a giant smallmouth, what's the first thing that son of a gun does? He comes to the top, he jumps 7 foot out of water, if
Yeah.
you can. And the smaller the hook, the less he has to get rid of. That's my theory. The smaller the bend, the less he has to get rid of. The more the hook there is there, the more leverage that fish has on you, the more advantage he has on you. And that's why the Johnston brothers, now and I know this for a fact, a lot of times they use a number 2.
Yeah.
And them son of guns catch way more smallmouth than me. You
Oh,
put
they
together. But
I'm just speaking from my experience because if anybody's watched me on live trying to land a smallmouth, it's pretty comical. Like, I suck at it. Like, I don't see how everybody else does it. Like, I watch the live after the tournaments, and people get a 4-pound smallmouth in the boat. They just lay their hand under it, and the fish just lays there like that. They talk to it, pet it. It doesn't move. It just lays right there.
pet it.
I try to belly land them, and they slide off of this side, and then they cut a cartwheel.
Are they wiggling and jumping when you're trying to belly land them?
Sometimes.
Well, you rushed them. You got to play them a little bit longer.
Well, anyway, they don't be still. They will not be still for me, and it's aggravating.
Maybe you should try talking to them.
I do. I cuss them. I talk to them.
You can't cuss them.
I
never
cuss
cuss
under
a
my
smallmouth.
breath. I cuss a smallmouth.
I've always
That's
said
like
that.
cussing Conor McGregor or something.
Yeah.
Like smallmouth just punch you in the face.
That is very true. Like, they fin me. They won't be still. They ain't gonna be still, and I have trouble landing them. But I do that with. I always throw a 2-aught or a 1-aught hook on
So
my
you
drop
throw a
shot.
2-aught or a 1-aught.
I throw it based on the size bait I'm using.
All right, let's just say you're throwing a 3-inch shad-shaped worm or a flatworm. What's a
Yeah,
flatworm?
something like that, flat.
What size hook?
1-aught.
A 1-aught.
1-aught.
Okay, so 1-aught.
The 1-aught Berkeley Fusion drop shot hook.
All right, so you got 2 different answers, Ryan. And to
My-
Thrift's point,
My theory is, too, when you go to a bigger hook, you need to go to a little bigger rod. And once you drive that bigger hook with that bigger barb in that fish's mouth, if you get that barb buried in him, it's not going to come out. That's where I'm at.
I'm laughing at a comment that I'm going to address in just a second from our buddy Neil Paul. But one thing that Thrift just said, Ryan, and keep this in mind with anything, do what you got the most confidence in.
Very true.
Do what works for you. Now, if
Very
you
true.
lose every fish you hook, you might want to kind of go
Swap
back to
it
the chalkboard. But do what works for you, and what my experience is different than Thrift's experience, and that's okay. We got to do what works best for us. Neil Paul said 2 things that he wants you to know.
All right.
New ran an Ultrex before you.
Well, yeah, everybody knew
I
that.
know, I'm just,
That's no secret, Neil.
and he said Cox might not be someone you actually want to trade technology with.
I didn't trade technology with him.
Okay.
I just waited for him to adopt it before I
compare
did.
technology with advancements. I don't know if John's ever fished deeper than 5 foot anyway in his entire life.
Yeah, he does.
He does a little bit, but so depth. James Wagner wants to know the area where you were catching your fish. He wants to know depth, clarity, bottom composition. You talked a little bit about that, but
Yeah,
go ahead
so-
and revisit that just a little bit.
What I did most of the Bass Pro Tour was fish milfoil, fish grass anywhere from 3 to 6 foot deep, and just expansive grass flats, just places I'd caught them in the past where those largemouth can gang up on the edge of the grass and stuff like that. Water clarity was, it depended. The first couple of days of the event, when it was calm, I could see 3.5, 4 feet. But as the event progressed and we had a lot of wind, it got stirred up. And I actually think that's what hurt me the last day was that hard southeast wind stirred the water up a little bit and reduced the clarity to about 1.5 or 2 feet. And I never could get those fish to react to a moving bait like a chatterbait or a square bill. The only thing I could really get them to bite was pretty much slow dragging a 5-inch Damiki stinger. And actually on the 4th day of the event, I ended up switching to a 4-inch stinger and got several key bites after downsizing to that smaller bait. And I think that was, from a two-prong approach of me putting a lot of pressure on the area over the past couple of days, and also that weather change with the wind that just had those fish lethargic. I think fish were there. I think the fish to win were there, but they just would not bite. It was hard to get them to bite. And like the second and third day of the events, when I would catch one, I could immediately throw back in there and catch 2 or 3. There'd be like little pods of them in the grass. And the last day, I never could do that. I'd get like one bite, and then I may have a short strike or something like that. You could just tell that they weren't wanting to feed, and I was kind of having to force feed them. And there was no way you could keep up with what Wheeler and the other guys ahead of me were doing when the fish were acting like that, being more lethargic. I mean, yes, I probably could have moved around and maybe found some fresh fish, some new fish. But, when you've got an area that's been so good for you, it's hard to leave when you know what's there. I mean, I was catching, 15 to 20, 3 to 4 pounders every day. And it's hard to leave that kind of fish, even with a weather change.
So, real quick, before we jump back into some more questions about Champlain, Sam Howell had a good question. It's a kind of a setup technique question that I saw that we probably ought to address. Sam Howell said, how do you guys feel about flipping with braid and a fluorocarbon leader? So my take on that is when I'm power fishing like that, heavy cover, obviously flipping bushes, grass, punching, whatever it may be, I don't want a leader. I don't want a knot tied I don't want a line tied to another line. That's just me. That's personal preference. I'm either straight braid or I'm straight fluorocarbon. And more often than not, I'm straight fluorocarbon unless I'm punching mats or something like that. I've seen a few instances where straight braid, where I opt for straight braid depending on the type of cover. But most of the time, if I'm actually punching, I'm using straight braid. If I'm, pitching wood, docks, flipping laydowns, whatever, it's usually straight fluorocarbon for me. What about you, Thrift?
Yeah, I'm the same way as Matt. I never tie a leader on a heavy rod with braid, like if I'm punching or flipping or anything like that. I'd rather go straight braid. I mean, especially like if you're fishing grass or thick wood, something like that, even if the water's crystal clear, those fish aren't line shy of that braid. I mean, you're getting a reaction strike when that bait falls through the mat. So the line diameter and being visible is not an issue. When you're flipping bushes or something, I mean, a good 20, 25 pound fluorocarbon is going to hold up to pretty much any bush. Like even if you pin a 6 or 7 pounder to it and he's wallering around, you're still going to be able to get him out of there most of the time. And odds are he's going to come off before he breaks your line anyway. So I agree with everything Matt said about that.
Well, that's just something else to go wrong, right?
Right.
It's just something else to go wrong. So it's like anytime I can take some of those, that's not necessarily an uncontrollable variable, but things happen with knots, as we all know, and that's just something else. You already have a knot tied to your bait. Why put another knot in between if you don't have to? So that's we're obviously similar in that aspect. All right, what's David Craig? What's up? Hadn't seen him in a while. I just saw him pop in. Said what's going on, LTF family. Glad to see everybody tonight. We've got about 150 live viewers. A lot of good questions coming in. We always appreciate the engagement and appreciate all y'all for tuning in too. I know everybody probably knows if they want to watch the show visually, they can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We don't push that very often, but that's somewhere that we archive the shows. And then we're on all the podcast platforms. I know a lot of you guys and gals out there like to listen when you're driving to work and things like that in your vehicle. So we're on all the podcast platforms. So be sure to check us out there too. All right. Let's see.
What we got next?
I'm scrolling. He'll take him to smile.
Here's
That
a
is-
cool question from Chris, kind of get you thinking. From Chris Lindahl.
Yep.
What do you guys think will be the next big thing in tournaments for viewers? Live has really changed the viewing experience. Says he was able to catch the last period of the last 2 days at Champlain. It was awesome to watch up to the end. Like, what's the next step?
You mean to make it more engaging than it already is?
Yeah.
I mean, I think what has a lot to do with the engagement is the commentating team. And I think it comes down to one thing, and that's personnel and manpower. I think one thing that could always make our sport better is we have cameramen in the top 10 boats, which this is going to take money. That's the driving force of all this. But one thing that would be really cool is on those cut days to have cameras in 40 boats or 30 boats, as opposed to just top 10. Because a lot of times on day 3, I know they say, that's the day everybody's striving. But how many guys catch a giant bag on day 3 that are, most of the guys that make the cut are pretty well on them, pretty well on them. But a lot of those guys, I mean, there's a giant bag that just doesn't have any coverage for whatever reason. Now, we run GoPros in our boats now because we have to, but things happen with those things.
Yeah.
But to get more cameras out there on the water, but with technology and the drones and all this stuff, I mean, there's a lot of, I think the next biggest thing is the next technological advancement in the way they cover the tournaments with the actual camera equipment.
Yeah.
Whether it's, who knows? I don't know.
A remote camera or something.
Yeah, like
that.
remote cameras and all kinds of things, little swivel mounts. I mean, who knows? I think it's the angle that you see things. For 30 years now, it's been a cameraman in the back of the boat.
Yeah.
And he gets all the juice, for the most part. But there's a lot of other stuff that's not seen because there's not enough coverage.
Yeah.
But there again, that takes money. Those guys.
I think what we're going to see in the future, the next big thing, and I don't know why the trails hadn't already jumped on it if it's not cost effective, but I think you're going to see, as the technology comes down in price, you're going to see individual anglers running live, streaming live from their boat off of some type of device, just on their personal pages or something like that, especially if the trails don't get on board. Because think about it, I mean, if anybody, like Matt could have a live setup, like his phone could just stream live video all day from his boat, and you could watch it on his page, subscribe to it, do whatever. I think that's going to be the next advancement, to where you can subscribe to each individual angler's personal live feed for the event.
That's really cool. You should
My
have kept
idea.
that in your pocket, man.
Trademarked.
Yeah, well,
It's out there.
Too late.
No, it's not. I just trademarked it.
That's a really good idea.
My idea. If you
should
see
probably-
anybody doing that, let me know, because it's my idea and they owe me royalties.
That'd be really cool, man. You just click on Matt Arey or Bryan Thrift or
Right.
Jacob Wheeler or whoever.
Right. Even
And
if the cost is too outlandish to be able to do that, like even if you have to sell a subscription, like if a group of anglers got together, say me, Matt, and say 8 other guys, we just had a group of 10 of us. Like, what we want to know your feedback. Would you guys pay a subscription for, say, I don't know, $20 or $30 a year to be able to watch us live?
it wouldn't be
every
expensive.
tournament we fish all year long. Just pick between the 10 guys whenever we fish, whoever you want to watch. Like,
Well,
I think that would be something pretty cool.
That's awesome. And the anglers should be able to run that deal where they benefit, or they could split it with the the organization they're fishing with. There could be some kind of profit share in there. But
Right.
I think the more people that got involved and on
Oh, here Buddy Black said Carl Jockinson used to run live during the tournament on YouTube. So it's obviously you can do it.
well, there you go. So shows how much we know.
Yeah, it shows how much I know.
All right, here's a question. Brian and I talked about this actually on the phone earlier today or yesterday, and it'd be a good topic to.
I agree, Neil Paul.
What Neil say?
Neil says the organizations would never allow anglers to profit on their own live feeds.
Well,
I agree with you 100%,
that's,
Neil Paul.
Because of your statement, now that you put it out on a national podcast, we're going to have to sign some kind of liability before 2022 that we won't sell our own footage that we take ourselves. Anyway, all right. So Nick Witkowski, I hope I didn't butcher your last name, Nick. If I did, I apologize. Said, hey, Brian, how is Jacob Wheeler not leading the Angler of the Year race on the BPT? He's won 3 out of the 6, took second in one and third in another. Well, Brian and I talked about that.
I guess he had one that was worse.
Well, that's simple as that.
I mean, because our points format is based on a 1 point per place. There's no
Just like bass.
Yeah, no extra points for winning, getting big fish, anything like that. It's 1 point per finish. So obviously the one tournament Jacob didn't do as well in, Ott must have did considerably better to still have a small advantage over him.
And
I
heard
mean, Ott's had a great year too. I think he's made 5 or 6 top 10. I don't know. He might have been top 10
yeah,
tomorrow.
I mean, but and Brian and I agreed on this when we talked about it because I brought it up because I heard Marty Stone, the commentator with BPT, talking about how, and JT might have disagreed with him, which I think they like to disagree a lot, but
yeah,
like you
why
and
not?
I do.
Why not?
Like you and I do. But
Agree
anyway,
to disagree.
Yeah, agree to disagree. So Marty was talking about on the live feed. I was watching the final day at Champlain. He was talking about there being he thinks there should be more points awarded to first place in the AOY race, and you and I talked about it, and I said
Yeah.
I totally disagree with that. Brian totally disagrees with that, and our take on it is like that. That means a guy could win 2 tournaments, 3 tournaments, like Jacob has had an unbelievable year. But if he has a couple bad finishes, that guy who was more consistent. That's what the AOY title is about.
Right.
It's all
Pure
about
consistency.
consistency. A guy should not get bonus points because if Ott Defoe finishes second 4 times and Jacob Wheeler wins 3, Ott deserves to win the AOY title.
Yeah.
Period. Because he was overall the most consistent angler for the entire season. Nothing against Jacob and his wins. Jacob's a close friend of mine, as everybody knows. But
Right.
And Jacob still, who knows who's going to win?
What
AOY.
is awesome is just to see Ott and Jacob having like 2 of the best seasons that's possibly ever been had in a
Absolutely.
trail in professional bass fishing history. I mean, out of 6 events, the 2 of them have won 5 of them. That's amazing.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
I guess I did
Ott's
realize
won
that, but I
2
didn't
and
think-
Jacob's won 3. And
That's pretty dominant.
I almost want to see Ott win, one just to tie it up to Jacob. I want to see Ott win at St. Clair just so he can say, hey, I won 3 too.
I won 3 and Wheeler won 3. So that so now I'm assuming, let's talk about this real quick. I'm assuming that y'all's drop, just like our drop, does not apply to the AOY points title.
Man, I want to
can't.
comment on it, but I honestly have
You
no
don't
clue.
know.
I
So,
have no clue.
The reason
All I
said
know
that,
is we are going to have a drop on the Bass Pro Tour.
and that was released in a press release.
They released that in a press release. I don't know how it's going to determine if it's going to be factored into Angler of the Year, if it's just going to be factored into Red Crest qualifying. I don't know how that's going to work, so I don't really know. Like I agree with Matt. I think it would be wrong to have that count toward Angler of the
Right.
Year. Like I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
But-
and the reason I brought that up is because Buddy Black said, Wheeler had one bad finish this year and Defoe hasn't stumbled in any tournament. Well, if Wheeler gets to drop that one, all of a sudden he beats
Yeah,
Ott.
Wheeler's
And
winning
That's
Angler
the
of the
number
Year.
one reason you
Yeah.
don't apply a drop to an AOY points race. Same thing Bass did. Bass did it for classic qualification reasons, not for the AOY or the Rookie of the Year race.
Right.
So that being said, that's really not fair to the guy who had the most consistent season.
Yeah.
And that's what the AOY, like we said, is all about. All right. And if anybody missed why the BPT has a drop now, just like Bass did, it was due to the fact that there were 4 or 5 anglers that missed the New York event because of COVID, and that's they enacted that rule and made that, which was the right move.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the only fair way to do it when they have to sit out because of that. So
Kind of like the medical hardship type deal.
right. So let's jump on down. I have no idea what time it is. It's 7:42, so we still got about 17, 18 minutes. We all see the top finishers using the Berkeley Generals and flatworms. Do you guys use them? I've never used a Berkeley General. I've used some flatworms. I'm not going to sit here and lie to anybody. I think
Anybody that smallmouth fishes and said they haven't used a flatworm,
liar.
they're lying.
They're lying.
They're lying.
Yeah,
Just-
the
just know
flatworm,
that.
and I'm not sponsored by Berkeley, neither is Thrift. But
No.
one thing Berkeley got figured out is that max scent deal.
Yeah.
Their scent stuff. Smallmouth loves stinky stuff for whatever reason.
They do.
Just love stinky
They
stuff.
really do.
And that's why the flatworm's been such a staple. It's not because of the design of it, because the design of it's like 12 other baits out there on the market.
Right.
It's because of the texture / scent components that make up whatever it is. And I don't know the recipe. If I did, I'd start making them myself.
You'd be cooking it up.
I'll be
Matt
cooking
be
it
down
up,
in the
son.
shop like a mad scientist.
We'd be back here. I'd have Jeff back here in the Lunkertech warehouse. We'd be making flatworms, making LTF flatworms. Anyway. Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit title on the Mississippi River right now. Matt Newman wants predictions on who will win.
Oh, God.
So, who was the first?
Well, the
group
first day
today?
was today. I know Mike McClellan, I think, was leading, and Alex Davis was in second after the day.
Okay.
So Group B will fish tomorrow.
And the first couple, tell him how that works. A lot of people
All right.
don't know.
So the way the format is it's just like a Bass Pro Tour event.
Take your time
it's
on what
Group
it
A,
is.
Group B, and they'll both fish 2 days, and the top 10 will fish a knockout round. The top 10 from each group will fish a knockout round, and then 10 will qualify from that to have 10 in the championship. I think is how it works. So I do know this year they did go to, I think, a 5-fish limit. So it's a combined weight, a 5-fish limit, and then it'll obviously 0 for the knockout round for the championship round. But as far as who I think's going to win, I have no idea. I mean, it's a river, so anything I say about a river, you got to take with a grain of salt anyway. But not just because he did well today, but I got to pull for Alex Davis. He's one of my buddies. He's never won a championship. I'd like to see Alex go to distance on it.
I'm gonna do the same thing and pull for a good friend of mine that's fishing it, Dylan Hayes. He's in the group tomorrow, and I wish Dylan the best. I think he'll do well. Dylan's worked really hard all year to get there and had a great season. Had a great season last year. He's been on the upswing. Momentum's a big deal in our sport, and it's time for Dylan to win a tour level event. What better way to break out than the championship too? All right, Canterbury's on here. And I pinned his comment on purpose just to make everybody mad because he said, "How does the upcoming deer season look like?"
He was fussing just before the show about it. That's all I know.
It's got 10 likes. It's got more likes than any comment on the whole show. But if I start talking about deer season, people will start yelling at me, so I'm not going to do it. But I pinned his comment just so everybody can look at it a bunch. That's the best I can do, Canterbury. I pinned your comment so everybody can see it. Live GoPros on top of our heads.
Do what?
I'm sorry, but I ain't going back to the hat cam days.
Oh, no.
Talking about the next
No,
advancement.
no, that's not.
GoPros on your head. Well,
No, that's not happening.
forget the GoPro, but they used to have hat cams, and we
Yeah.
talked about this on the show before, and it was a little camera
With
that
the
ran.
little fanny pack.
You had
oh,
to
my
wear
God,
a fanny
that was
pack
awful.
that weighed like 2 or 3 pounds, had all the equipment in there, and it ran.
And every time you'd sit in the driver's seat, you'd have to like spin it around so it didn't like break your back.
You didn't wear yours on the side? That was
Yeah,
the trend, dude. You had to wear it on the
I never
side.
went to the side.
You never went to the side.
No.
So
Ooh, that was awful.
So yeah, that thing was terrible, and it had a little bitty camera that was like, what they do, like duct tape it underneath your hat bill. It was like right.
Oh,
there.
yeah. They'd take your hat the night before, and they'd just cut it and butcher it, and they'd run this wire through it, and you'd have a little camera under there. It's awful.
And when I watched that footage, I don't know about you or anybody watching, but
It was never that good.
it gave me a buzz watching.
Yeah, it was
Like,
awful.
It was awful.
It was the dumbest-
terrible. Hey, Jeff.
I wasn't going to
Another
say
shot.
it was the dumbest idea because you remember when they had that big center console
Crane cam.
with the crane on it?
Yes,
That was the dumbest idea, but the hat cam was second dumbest.
that's the second dumbest. So the
Yeah.
crane cam's the first dumbest.
Yeah.
Hat cam.
So
the second
I
dumbest.
remember when they debuted the crane cam at Lake Toho. They've got like this big 40-foot catamaran with a big boom on it. I think they got it stuck like 3 or 4 times. It was just a nightmare.
Well, I mean, it was a boat that drafted like 2.5 feet of water.
Yeah, and they're
that was
running
the
around
first
on
problem.
Toho and Kissimmee. So.
But that arm on that thing was like longer than the boat.
Yeah, it looked like a fire truck, a floating fire truck with a camera on the end of it. That's what it looked like.
Did you ain't never seen that back in the day? Yeah, early FLW days.
No.
The crane cam. Oh man, that would be cool. Pete Brandt said we need gambling in Vegas for fishing. I mean, we got fantasy fishing, so that'd be the next step.
Yeah, I've wondered.
That would take the sport to another
I've
level.
wondered why for 10 years why that hadn't happened yet. I don't know. I've asked several people, and I don't have a clue
You
why.
called
it
your
hadn't
Vegas
happened yet.
connections, your bookies, and
I don't know any bookies.
okay.
I mean, I've asked several like organizational owners why that hasn't happened, and I don't know.
Brian Collins has a good question. He says, do you think live is giving up your spots and techniques for a final day too much, or is there still enough respect that for the most part people stay off your area if you're locked in on the pattern and the lead? For the most part, I think people are pretty respectful.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Every once in a while you get somewhere and somebody does something just to spite, but overall, majority of the places we go, everybody's pretty respectful, especially if they know.
Yeah, if they
You're
know
in the
you're
lead or-
out there fishing, trying to win $100,000, I don't think I've ever had. Well, one time this year I had several people get in my way. We're not going to talk about that though.
Like recreational anglers or
No, like people in another tournament.
Oh yeah.
Kind of got poached a little bit.
That unfortunately that's just a. I mean, it's happened in our sport for years, and it's going to continue to happen because
Yeah, I mean,
everybody's not
all you can do is, that's part of it, I guess.
smile and keep going.
It sucks, but it's part of it.
There you go. An app. We're going to make an app. Brian Bustillos, I hope I said that right, said just make an app where you can pick which angler you want to watch live.
Jeff, get on that.
He said send him a check, by the way.
Check with me about 4 months.
4 months.
We need it sooner than that. We need it tomorrow.
No, we need it. You got, what, 2 events left?
Yeah.
If we get it before 2022, we got this.
Yeah.
But that's pretty awesome.
I'll be back. Hand me a Zot.
You
What
going to work-
flavor?
You going to work on that app?
You look like you want to pay.
He said, give me a Zot. I'm going to work on the app.
Jeff's on it.
All right, we got time for just a handful more questions, guys and gals. Jared Kemper said he paid to watch you thrift. I guess I ain't worth nothing. He did. He said, I'll pay to watch thrift. Specifically said just your name in capital letters.
Everybody'd probably be disappointed if they actually watched me fish all day.
So that's a good point. Stephen Guthrie said Trait Zaldane had been trying to do some live coverage in the opens, but the cell service hasn't been that good. Well, I promise you that's one thing that's definitely going to improve over the next decade or so is cell
Yeah,
coverage.
but you can buy boosters.
That's true.
Yeah.
True.
Like I said, it may not be the technology's out there to do it. It may not be cost effective at the moment though.
Yeah.
Like you can make it work. I mean, there's satellites surrounding this earth. So you can stream from anywhere if you want to pay enough to do it.
That's man. There's a lot of positive feedback on your idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
We probably should have kept that under our hat for a little bit.
Oh, my bad.
But all right, let's.
We need some investors.
We got. Where'd he go? Where'd Jeff go?
Yeah.
And we got.
We need to set up an investor meeting
Our
for
buddy
my
Walt's in the
idea,
studio
Matt.
tonight too. Brian Clary wanted to know if I made it to the Classic next year. I did make it to the 2022 Classic. We will be fishing at Lake Hartwell, Bryant.
Oh, yeah, y'all got the Classic on Hartwell.
Yep. But take a hat out of that bag and put it on your head. Somebody said you don't look right without a hat.
What's wrong with me?
You don't wear a hat all the time on this show.
I do, but I forgot my Fitzgerald hat at home.
Oh,
It's in my truck. I took it out of my Suburban and put it in the truck for the last tournament, and I forgot to put it back in the Suburban.
do you know, this one thing that we talked about when you were gone was we talked about the cuts that BASS was making. Do you know, Larry Foster wanted to know how many will be dropped from BPT after the season. Do you know that?
I have
yet?
no idea.
Do you know what's supposed to happen, supposedly?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty
Well, you're
much,
not in danger of being
I'm
cut.
pretty much in the dark on a lot of things.
Okay.
Like, I delegate myself to, I need to know where I need to be and what time to be there, and I'm going to go fishing.
You got Boyd's number in your phone?
That's
let's
as
call
far
Boyd.
as I go. That's
Call
as
Boyd
far
and
as
ask him.
I don't do the politicking and all this. I just show up and fish, and hopefully I make a little money.
Well, Thrift's not in danger of being cut, so that's probably why he doesn't know. Let's see.
This year was on edge a little bit.
You're not on edge of being cut.
It was close. I was the last man out of Red Crest.
Now, I'm assuming that y'all will do similar to Bass on your cuts. It'll be a multi-year average. It won't be like just
I
that
think
current.
so.
Yeah, surely it wouldn't be just
I think
that
it's a
current year.
couple, 2 or 3 years.
So, to your point, I don't think you got anything to worry about.
I hope not.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, Tyler Callaway, we talked about on the last show as far as the number of people that were getting cut from the Elite Series. I don't know exactly, so don't hold me to this, but we talked about it on the last show. It's around 20. It's roughly around 20. There won't be a cut that big. I'm not going to say ever again. It's not supposed to be a cut that big ever again. And that was due to the fact that they let everybody come back from the 2020 season based on COVID. Everybody was invited back. So we had the new qualifiers come in and the full field of elites that came back. So that's the reason the field blew up to 100 boats this year. To get back down to that desired 80, 90 boat field, they were going to have to make a bigger cut. But a lot of those guys that are being cut this year, unfortunately, would probably, well, I know they would have been cut last year had they had done their cuts like they normally do. So, yes, there's more guys getting cut, but it's basically like a cut for 2 years, you know, and it's tough. It's hard, but, you know, that's what Bass had to do in order to get back to the field size that everybody voted on. So, and that was a vote, you know, and I don't know what the actual field size number will look like for 2022. I just know that there's around 20 guys that are going to be cut because there's at least 12 or 13 qualifiers that are going to get invited to come in, just like every year, you know, the last few years at Bass. All right, let's 2 or 3 more questions.
Yeah,
Brian?
we got a little more.
We good. Do you throw the Hydra any? I know Kenneth Chu want to know if you throw the Hydra.
I do throw the Hydra. I've pretty much delegated it to a bed fishing bait. I don't know why, because it makes a great like Ned head like you were fishing a tube. The only difference is it's a little bulkier and it falls a lot slower, so it gives you a little bit of a different reaction. But you know, it is a cool bait, and that's the Demiki Hydra. It's like a solid body deal with like 20-something tentacles, and it's actually got like a little ball on the end of each tentacle, so it really flares real good. It doesn't stay compact and stay together like a tube does. It really flares out good. So, but yeah, it's a great bait.
I saw a good question on here. Oh, Ernie Wallace said, Jeff, why do you look so serious? I know Jeff's bailed on us twice. It's been weird. He just got up and walked.
Yeah, he just got up and left
2 different times. Did you say something make him mad?
I don't think so. I gave him a Zot. He can't be mad at
He's
me.
He's eating 3 Zots. Hell, he might be in the toilet. I don't know.
He probably is.
Every time he comes back, he sits down. He says, "Matt, throw me a Zot. Throw me a Zot."
Yeah, he's definitely in the toilet.
He's definitely in the toilet.
Levi, right now I'm not planning on fishing the open on Norman. So
You're not.
no, I'm not planning on it right now.
That's
So-
such a weird answer.
Well,
I'm not planning on it right this minute, but
I
who
want to
knows?
fish it, but I've got so much other stuff going on this fall. I mean, I've got
Deer
another
season.
Toyota event. I've got another BPT event, Bass Pro, the Cups for MLF.
Deer season.
And, well, I actually got 2 Toyota series left, and then if I qualify for the Toyota Championship, it's just going to be
Deer
very
season.
tight to do that. No, deer season does not factor in that decision. You know, if there's somebody in the Elite Series that is looking for a classic spot that wants to, you know, maybe we'll work a little something out.
It took me a minute to figure out what you were doing.
Because I really do like the end of September on Lake Norman.
He doesn't listen to this show very. He doesn't listen to this show. But I'll relay the message. All right. Well, y'all heard that. If anybody can do the math and figure out what he just said, then that was funny. I don't care who you are. But yeah, it's Canterbury, there he is, coming with that Alabama logic. Gambling would create unbelievable payouts. You got that
Everybody
right.
knows that.
You got that right. I like.
Maybe we just
things.
need a gambling app. Maybe we could just do it ourselves.
Careful what you say on this show. You're coming up with good ideas, and why don't you tell me these good ideas like when we're talking on the phone before the show starts?
My bad. Again, we need investors.
A gambling app is a gambling app. Walt, is a gambling app legal? Would a gambling app be legal for fishing? If you could like run it through Vegas or so, I don't know what you got to do.
Nah, yeah.
That's true.
We
So
get-
how do they pay out on those gambling apps?
I don't know.
Well, those are details. We're going to need some details on that. We're going to have to figure out that. Dude, I mean, you could take, like, if you could get this thing and blow that. Never mind. I'm going to stop talking because I got some ideas popping in my head. I'm going to stop right now. Brian, how many penalties have you had this year?
Several. Not a crazy amount. I usually average 2 or 3 per event.
And are they fish landing violations or are they?
Yeah,
something else?
they're all fish landing violations. I've never gotten a penalty that was.
Where you get out on a.
Yeah.
Do y'all get penalized for getting out on the dock?
Yeah, I think it is a slight penalty. Like, it's not terrible.
So
I
so
think,
tell
well,
me-
unless if you get out on the dock and you can't get back to the boat by yourself, like if the official has to bring the boat to you, I think that's like a 15-minute penalty.
Okay.
Yeah.
15 minutes.
Yeah, it's a
So-
big penalty.
Somebody.
So like if I got a fish hung up on a dock cable and I stepped out on the dock and got him out, and by the time I got back to the boat, the wind blew my boat away and I couldn't get there either. I got to jump in and swim to the boat.
I'm about to say for 15 minutes, if it was warm, would you just swim in? Would you just swim over to the boat with the
I
fish?
probably would.
Would you?
I probably would. Or you got to have your official bring the boat to you, and that's a 15-minute penalty.
Ooh.
Which I'm sure is a penalty if you have to swim back to the boat too, but I don't think it would be 15 minutes. I don't know how much it would be.
So I saw a highlight video, and come to find out he got penalized like 5 minutes for it. Of
Flagrant fish, Brent Chapman?
yes, thank you.
Yes.
Literally got.
That was a pretty sweet landing, though.
I thought
Like-
that was a crappy penalty call. I
No,
thought that was
it's-
a bad call.
No, it wasn't. It's a fair call.
But he didn't do that intentionally. Like that.
No, he didn't do it intentionally. But the
yeah,
whole
you got to break this down for me.
so the whole premise behind the fish landing violation is, the fish can't touch your body, can't touch the carpet. The only contact you can have with the fish is lipping it or belly landing it. You can't boat flip it or anything like that. So if you boat flip that fish and you try to grab the line and keep him from falling to the carpet, and say it slips out of your hand and he touches the carpet, that's just a fish landing violation, a 2-minute penalty. But if you just boat flip him and just slam him down on the boat, never try to catch the fish to keep him off the carpet, that's what they call a flagrant fish landing violation, and that's a 5-minute penalty. So that was where Brent run into that with landing that fish that was wrapped up in his trolling motor. He didn't make an attempt to grab that fish to keep it off of the carpet or anything like that. Like when he jerked his trolling motor up, he'd have tried to scoop it up or something like that. He would have most likely just gotten a 2-minute penalty.
Okay.
But the act of just, I'm not going to say blatantly flopping it on the deck because that's not at all what he was trying to do. I mean, the fish was wrapped up in the trolling motor, and it's pretty amazing he landed the fish anyway.
I don't think he knew when he pulled the trolling motor up.
Whoa, I got emergency alert.
It's a tornado warning for our area. If anybody's wondering why his
It looks
you
like
can
it's
hit-
in the parking lot right now.
what?
I just walked by the door. Looks like it's in the parking lot right now.
We
It's
need to
pretty
take
bad.
shelter now.
What
Well,
kind
we're-
of phone service do you got? Why
We're
don't I
in a
get
concrete wall building. I think we're okay.
We're good in here.
There's a tornado warning right now for us.
I'm going to have to
apparently.
call my wife, make sure she's good.
Let's knock out the trivia question. We're
All
going to
right.
get out of here.
Yeah, let's ask this because
So,
I need to call my
trivia
wife right
question
quick.
time, and
We got
if
tornadoes, obviously.
There's a tornado warning for our area until 8:45. That's what the weather. Emily.
Well,
texted
my
me.
wife doesn't like storms, so I can imagine
Yep.
she's freaking out right
I
now.
just confirmed it. Till 8:45.
I got this like 5 minutes ago. What's
All right.
wrong with y'all?
I'll be right back. I'm going to go call my wife, guys.
I mean, what if I'd have been outside and didn't get the warning till just now?
Well, then you got blown away. And there'll be no more Jeff. And no more LTF without Jeff. So, all right, Thrift, I'm asking a trivia question. Yes, I
Y'all
wrote it
just
down.
quit talking about it.
Yeah, you quit talking
Show it
about
to
it.
me.
So, since Thrift bailed on us, check on the family.
Yeah.
My wife's obviously okay with the girl. She just texted me. We're going to go ahead and ask the trivia. Y'all are killing me with these tornado alerts.
It's crazy.
Volume turned up. I mean, you're killing me. All right, here we go. Trivia question time. It is sponsored by English Choice tonight, y'all. It's a high performance hat and shirt, or
sound
high
like-
performance shirt and hat.
You
What?
just sound like Ricky Bobby.
I sound like Ricky Bobby. Really? Sweet.
Tonight's
Sweet.
show is brought to you by English Choice.
You ain't first, you last. So look, you screwed me all up here, man. Trivia question
Just give
time.
me the answer so
Here
we
we
can
go.
go.
So the BPT, we talked about it earlier. They get now, because of the COVID protocol that was put in place after the Lake Champlain tournament, or the New York swing, it might have been St. Lawrence. Anyway, COVID protocol, they get to drop their lowest of it. And each angler gets to drop their lowest tournament. I need to know where Thrift's worst finish was up to this point that he gets to drop. I need to know what lake it was on or river. I need to know that.
Fast. You need to be looking.
Huh?
This is going to be fast.
Jeff or myself, first one to see it in the feed is the winner. And you're going to send us a message with your size shirt you need and your shipping information so we can get that sent out to you ASAP. And we are looking. We're starting to get answers rolling through. Larry, thank you, Larry. He said he'd pay to watch me fish. Is that the storm I hear outside?
Why are we getting numbers?
Is that the storm I hear outside?
Yes. That's the tornado.
That's the tornado?
Goodness.
Y'all,
right.
I don't know why y'all are sending in numbers. Maybe they didn't.
Aaron.
Oh, you already got it?
Yeah, Aaron Collier.
Aaron Collier is the winner. Aaron Collier. Send us a message to our Facebook page with your shipping address and the size shirt that you want. We'll get it out to English Choice, and they'll get that out to you just as soon as possible.
Answer?
The answer was Lake Travis. The answer was Lake Travis. So, guys and gals, thanks for tuning in. We're going to get home to our wives, our kids, because there's a tornado warning right now, and I can hear crazy stuff's going on out in the parking lot. Jeff said it looked like there was something going on out in the parking lot. We might be sitting in this building for a little bit, but in the meantime, when we can't go fishing or there's a tornado, we're going to sit right here and talk fish. See y'all next week.
Thank you for listening to Let's Talk Fish. Visit our private Facebook group to continue the conversation, post your questions, and talk with other fellow anglers at facebook.com/groups/Let's Talk Fish. Follow us on Instagram at Let's Talk Fish Official and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more exclusive content. Join us again next episode for more actionable tips, tactics, and techniques directly from the pros. And remember, when we can't go fishing, we're going to sit right here and talk fish.